Hey, what's up, guys? It is Rapmark here, doing my Cowboy Bebop live action review. It's a little bit late. Um, Multiple things came into that. Again, I was sick, work, and then I also wanted to watch the anime again, just to sort of verify a few things. But yeah. So let's go with let's go on with that. What did I think of the show? Um, it was more of a disappointment than I thought it would be. Uh, they made a lot of choices that I did not agree with. There was a lot of things I hated about this show, and in order that it was really hard to do this review because I have seen the anime and I've seen it many times. It's one of my favorite anime. Uh, and then to try to do this review and just do this show on its own merit, like it was super hard. But at the same time, like from what I'm giving the score as to what other people could give this. I can see both ways. Um, we'll get into that later. But yeah, let's get into it. Whew. So 10 episode series from Netflix. The original one was like 26 or something like that. Let me check real quick. But yeah, it was they they brought a lot of stuff that was in the background in into the foreground on this one. And it's just like why? So they bring out a lot more of like Vicious is brought more into the front. Julia, and it doesn't work. You know, it's kind of like the whole like with horror. You know, when you don't know kind of what's going on, you're like, wow, this is scary. And then when you see the monster, it's just like, this isn't really scary now. And then they kind of have to reduce down to jump scares, which is really unfortunate. So 26 episodes. All right, so there's 26 episodes. And so from what I can tell, this wasn't a from start to finish of the anime. This went from the start to the first clock tower fight with Vicious. And man, the changes that they made on this show were just like, why would you do this? Again, like, and trying to be kind, like there were some things that were really good about this. Like I love the actor Mustafa Shakir, the actor that they got to play Jet. I thought he was spot on. You know, uh, yeah, he was amazing. He did a great job. John Cho as Spike, it worked physically, um, and I definitely think he did his best. The problem is, I guess the writing was terrible. The writing was just atrocious in this show. Uh, they made Spike so just one dimensional, just like always obsessed about the past, you know. Whereas in the anime, he's much more laid back, you know. Like once Vicious or Julia is mentioned, you know, then he kind of loses it a bit. But I mean, this one he's just always kind of just moping and just dwelling on it and won't tell like his crewmates about his past and stuff like that. It's just kind of it takes away from his likability and his charisma at that as well, because again, he's very standoffish. You can tell he likes his friends. He's charming. He can get a smile from you, and you can sometimes see that, like with Jet and Spike. You can definitely tell with the like side jokes, the inside references, like that relationship you could kind of get. Oh, Faye, poor Faye. Good God, it felt her whole storyline just felt so rushed. Like in the original one, she wouldn't open up to anyone, and that there's a lot going into that. I mean, honestly, as messed up as their story was in the live action, it was way more messed up in the anime, and I don't know. She just seemed way too willing to join up with people, and then the whole thing of it's just like the creators, they didn't want to over sexualize her, but then they put her naked with another woman, and which is something that never happened in the anime. I guess they're trying to make her bi. It's just like, I mean, that's fine, but then there's just like, I guess the world was just too bleak for them. But I mean, also just really bad writing, like the whole blackmail because you're a black man, like there was a lot of cringy lines in this show. Let me tell you. I mean, you had a tree full of cum, bukkake jokes. Jesus, it was oh, the cringe factor was real. Like I don't think this had very good writing, unfortunately. And then I don't like what they did with Julia's character, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But I mean, and then also, I wasn't a fan of what they did with Tavicius. They turned him into essentially a whiny bitch, and it's sad because that's not who Vicious is. He's fucking vicious. He's vicious. He's smart. He's ruthless. He's charming. I don't know. It's just like this mystery because in the anime it's just like mentioned, but it's not really built up. Like you don't even know much about like the syndicate he works for, and whew, I don't know. It was. I think in trying to explain everything, the show did a great disservice to everyone because it explained stuff that shouldn't have been important, or by explaining that stuff, it loosened its relevance on said things, like Vicious and Julia, for perfect example, and just going into the whole Red Dragon Syndicate thing, and then Spike's syndicate name, Fearless, just like that's never mentioned in the anime. They just said, "Hey, why not?" Oh my gosh, I didn't mind it at first, but then they just kept throwing it at you and throwing it at you, and it got annoying. Kind of like Spike's just constant moping. Yeah, it got annoying. Let's see what else we got there. There was don't want to go too into spoilers. So music. So they did in terms of the intro, they did the same intro. uh, which I did enjoy. But I mean, there were other things. There were like other types of music. I mean, when I listen to the anime, it's just there's just so much jazz. Or there's piano, like the freaking clock tower in Spike and Vicious's first fight. Like, whoo, that is fucking epic sauce. But again, like, what'd they do to Vicious? Like anytime he was on screen, I just didn't feel tension with him. He just felt like, oh my gosh, I'm a whiny bitch who just likes hurting people. I mean, he's he is a piece of garbage, but holy crap. And then as much as I love the way Mustafa captured Jet, I do not like what they did with Jet the character. They made him into the like most unlucky, just horrible lucked person you could ever imagine. And it's just like, damn. Like his backstory was way better in the anime. And what else? I think another problem I had was the lack of focus on bounties. It didn't seem like they mentioned a whole lot about the bounties. And that's what Cowboy Bebop was about. I mean, you had essentially a bounty that was highly focused on. You had, oh, what were those two names? Hold on. Anyway, the two, I, I don't want to waste too much time looking for it, but yeah, essentially the two hosts of the that show that's always on tell, where they say what bounties are going up. Yeah, they're I saw them maybe twice, and it's just like, come on. Yeah, it just didn't seem like, and a lot of the bounties were just very. It seemed like they were rushed as well. Everything for some weird reason had to be tied into each other, and I guess that's because the whole thing was serialized as opposed to the original show, which it was literally like episodes. You know, you had a bounty, would the team learn, and then see a space cowboy. You know, wonderful. And there they still had the sea of space cowboy here, but it just like, why? This is you did it in literally like a cliffhanger episode. That makes no sense. Why? Why would you do this? It was it was super pointless and it pissed me off. Yeah, they for everything that they tried to get one to one, it just seemed like they got the worst parts of it. And then things that they changed, it's like they didn't fully understand the source material. And it's just like, what? Why have you done this? Anyway, in order to keep this short, I'm just gonna go right into my rating there. I mean, I'm pretty sure I did a pretty good job of covering what needed to be covered in terms of like rough things that I loved, hated, what this was all about, issues, and also what I did enjoy about it. So again, this is hard because to do it as a fan, but then you want to do it on its own merits. And where would I put this? Whoo! I'd have to put this at a 4. It's below average. I mean, it's watchable, but I mean, I can't recommend it. It just seemed bad. Like Oh my gosh! Before, yeah. So I gave you my score. So I haven't fully given you my score. Um, but yeah, I'll further elaborate on that. But also the set pieces. I did enjoy some of the set pieces, and I did enjoy some of the fights. That being said, the ones in the anime were way better, and oh my god, there were some sets that were just like not good. Like, I'll get into more of that in spoilers, but yeah. Anyway, but to elaborate, it, like I have friends who literally gave this thing like an 8 to a 10, and I'm just like, how? Like I could see a 6, and that I think is being very generous. Because honestly, if I hadn't seen the anime, I'd still give this a 4 because it wasn't overly great. It really wasn't. It was watchable, but yeah, it was just kind of it was there was a lot of cringe. There was a lot of cringe. Um, but yeah, if I were to compare it against the anime and just go full on hard, this would be this would be a 0 to a 1 because oh my god, it feels like they captured all the wrong lessons in trying to adapt this, and it's just dragged back by it. Like the actors were great, the writing was terrible, and I think that harmed people. And the characters were changed in such ways that it's just like I don't know. It was bad. So yeah, I mean on the whole, on its own, I'd give it a 4. But yeah, that like, and I can understand the range. I mean, at least if it's within reason. Like that, I can understand someone seeing this as like maybe a 6. You know, if they hadn't seen the anime, I'm just like, okay, I see it because there were some good parts to it. There were parts that I did enjoy, but on the other hand of that, I can also, if someone told me this gets a 0, I'm just like, I totally get you. You saw the anime. We're on the same page. All right. So I think that's what we'll go in for the rough review. So we'll be doing spoilers here in just a moment. And so until then, I'll see ya. Hey guys, it is Rapmark here. So it is time for the spoilers to this. Getting into more of my arguments, essentially, because I don't want to do like a full on play by play of this series because that's going to take way too long, and I don't want to do that. So, anyways, some of the other changes that they've made in terms of like the characters. So Jet, he has a daughter, a wife, and ISSP detective is Chalmers is in a relationship with his wife, and it's just like, okay, like I don't mind that per se, but they threw it down your throat so often, even at the very end. Vicious kidnaps his daughter. Like, like a little less like on the nose, please. Yeah, Faye Valentine. All right, so to elaborate on her in the anime, so in the show, she's someone who was in a pod, uh, woke up with amnesia, had none of the stuff. Essentially, was being conned by a woman, and somehow this woman became her mother, but not really. It's kind of weird and just psycho at some points. But in the anime, whereas in the anime, you know that happens, but she's woken up by a man who not only takes all of her stuff, but also assigns her debt to her, or his debt to her, and essentially gets into this fake sexual relationship with her, and he does this with dozens of other people as well. Like, yeah, she doesn't trust anyone. It takes a while. Like, we're deep into the series before she's just like, okay, I can trust you. Whereas in this one, it just seems like after almost right at the get go, she's just like, okay, we're cool, let's do this. And it's just like, I don't know. It just seemed rushed. And I think like certain things, like actual plot points, were rushed because they had way too much bloat. Like, all the times they were showing Julia and Vicious, we could have been with the Bebop crew. You know, they could have been showing more bounties. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean Julia again is just like in the anime she barely had like 5 minutes of screen time. You know, she was a memory essentially. That's why the song is called Memory. That's why, and everything about it. It's I don't know. It's like I don't think they understood what the whole point of her character in the anime was, and it was sad. You know, and Vicious, you know, in the anime, you know, again, there's references to him, but he doesn't make a lot of screen time. You know, it references his time on in the Titan War, I think it's called, on Jupiter, where he actually fought with Gren, which I'll get into in a moment. Holy shit! Anyway, but you know he's projected as again a charming, smooth guy. He gets his shit done. It doesn't explain how he does it, but you know he's not this sniveling, whiny little failure of a son that the show portrays him as, and it's just kind of crazy. Like he's power like in the show it shows him as power hungry, but he's not overly smart. He again is constantly looking for approval from his dad. It they just ruined his character. In I wish In got more playing time, but again they tie him in the weirdest ways. Like they attached him to actually Mad Peru, which is another thing I'll get into. But oh my gosh, but yeah, he was the goodest boy, and I did like him. And yeah, how a data dog managed to end up with a kidnapper, who knows? Yeah, it's a little bit ridiculous. And so now Gren. Oh my gosh. So Gren in the anime has an amazing backstory. Was once a soldier, again in the Titan Wars. I believe that's what they're called. Don't quote me on that, and don't kill me if I got that wrong. But the war on Jupiter, let's just say that between Jupiter's on Jupiter's moons, you know, and he was with Vicious. He knows how to fight, knows how to handle his shit. And in this one, I'm not sure what they're trying to do. If it's like if they're going for a trans character or a non-binary character. And before anyone says anything, I've said this many times before. I am all about adding diversity in programming. Like I get it. I'm all for it, but I don't believe in doing it in a way that sacrifices from the actual story. Like essentially I don't believe that turning Gren trans or non-binary like serves a purpose in any real way in this other than just to like that's silly because at that point you're making a fundamental story change just for the sake of diversity, and it's just like this is an adaptation. I get you're going to have your own ideas. It was a bad move. They messed up Grin bad. So from what I'm reading, non-binary is what it's showing as, and it's just like, I mean, in the anime, he's clearly male, but I mean, because he was tortured as a prisoner, I guess, or was in prison, like there was some sort of drug or hormone, it essentially gave him female tits. So he had that. I forget what that condition's called, but yeah, it's common amongst people who do like steroids. But yeah, they butchered him. They utterly butchered him. You know, them in the live action, but him in the anime. So I'm respectful of titles, but as someone who loves the anime, they butchered him on the live action, and it was upsetting. Punch and Judy, there we go. Punch and Judy, yeah, they were way bigger deal in the anime, but they made only like 2 appearances on the in the whole live action. It's just, oh my gosh, it's like, come on, focus on the bounties. That's what the show is all about. And then at the end, you kind of got this whole ramping up arc over like the last 3 episodes. But oh no, they just kind of ruined it. There we go. Oh my gosh, let's go to Mad Perot. Holy crap. So, in the anime, Perot is this big, round, just killer dude. Like, he kills essentially agents who tortured him, and anyone who sees him, in fact, anyone who has seen his face, he has to kill. You know, which is why tries to kill Spike in the anime. In this one, he's broken out of jail by Vicious. And in this one, they also change it. 'Cause, like in the anime, he's afraid of cats, but in this one, he's afraid of dogs. But they don't really like apparently because they were there when he was being tortured, and it's just it didn't make sense. But yeah, like in the anime, it's established that I mean he literally has the the brain of a child. Like he is literally just having a great time, just killing people. And honestly, he spoke way too much in the live action. He spoke way too much. Like he didn't say a word in the anime. He just laughed. He just was just smiling and laughing the whole time. Until the end where he finally killed him. Like he gets stabbed with a knife, and he just starts crying, and then Spike sends him into space. Like you don't actually see him die. It's, oh man, which was a whole nother thing. And like in the and he puts on this weird clown suit. Whereas in the anime, he's always just dressed in this crazy like top hat and like, I guess it's like a Japanese type clown suit is what I'm assuming is from what I've read up on it. And he's just always wearing that. And the same thing happens here, except, cat, and then he gets stabbed in the leg, and then there's this animatronic like parade going on him, and a giant dog just steps on him and kills him. So yeah, but yeah, everything's tied in. Ein's laying behind because apparently, like, as a data dog, somehow he was tied in with Perot, and he has his memories or something, and he takes control of the dog, and the dog just sends his weird face, and yeah, it was a little weird. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, they totally butchered it. And then who else we got? Oh my gosh, the eco terrorists. So I mean, in the anime, they devolved people into monkeys. It's just like you stupid monkeys, stop ruining planets. And this one, there's trees. Like I said, there's a tree full of cum. I forget if this was the one with the bukkake. Like, there are bukkake jokes all over the place in this, and it's terrible. Yeah, but the animation looked kind of cool, but I mean, on the whole, it was dumb. It was stupid. It was dumb. Let's see what else we got. Oh, the Udai one. So, episode 5, I was actually big. I actually did enjoy that one. It was it was worse than this episode in the anime, but if you haven't seen the anime and you see this is where it kind of starts to go together before it pops up. So yeah, it was a good episode on its own, but again, put in comparison with the anime, it doesn't stand up, which is unfortunate. And then the whole with the AI that they have to save him from, like, I thought that would have been a good way to capture his past, if it was just that. But he just kept on dwelling on it, and it was just like, please stop. You're being annoying, and no one likes it. Yeah, I was not a fan on that. So going again to the last battle. Well, so season 9 kind of goes back in time where Spike and Vicious are, best friends, and they're falling out essentially, which was over Julia, which again is super crazy. But there was one scene in there where he fights and takes out the entire Neptune cartel, and he wants to leave the syndicate life and then take Julia with him, and it's just like, okay. And then we go into the last one where Jet's daughter Kimmy is kidnapped, and oh my god. Then there was this line that Faye says where it's just like, I won't carry that, I won't shoulder that weight, I won't carry that weight, something like that. And I was just like, wow. That was probably the cringest line of this entire show. Because I forget what part it was. It may have been when Ed leaves for the final time. But there was something that happened, something that was just so emotionally just gut wrenching. And then it shows up, and instead of "see you later, Space Cowboy," it's just like, you will carry that weight. And as soon as I heard it butchered in episode 10, I was just like, hold on to your seats. This is we've gone as low as we can go. This is complete rock bottom, and the cringe meter is just totally filled. We cannot fill it anymore. Oh my god. And then in the anime, like the first clock tower scene, which this is supposed to be, it was epic. Like you see Vicious and you're just like, this is gonna be a freaking epic fight. And then the music starts and it's just so beautiful and it's so in tune. Whereas this one is it's just kind of like, yeah, I mean you're kind of establishing Vicious is already a wuss and then Julia like escapes because she was gonna have Vicious killed by the capos. It was just. So she's going to be killed. She escapes because one of the syndicate agents, I guess, like sympathizes with her. I'm not sure if she died or if she's just hurt or whatnot. I don't know. But anyway, during the fight, she shoots Vicious, and it's just like, that was a whole new level of cringe as well. And then tells Spike to kill him, and then they can ruin the syndicate together. And then it's just like, it's your fault because you left me with him for so long. And here's the problem with that sort of twist, because I think she was supposed to be set up as like this master manipulator, but she was played as a damsel for so long in this series that when you see the turn and the turn's finally made, it's just not believable. It feels rushed. It feels like, where the hell did this come from? And then she shoots Spike. It's just because he's just like, no, I want to leave this life. And it's just like, oh my god. And then you have the post-credit scene, or at least a fade to black, and then you see Vicious tied up. She brings a gun, puts a bullet in one of the chamber, just spins it. So essentially Russian roulette. And pulls the trigger, click. It's just like, huh. Well, I guess you made it through today. Let's see how long we can keep carrying this out for. And yeah, but apparently she's going to run the syndicate because he's now an elder and no one has permission to look at the elders. It's yeah, I'm really glad that there's not going to be a season 2 of this because there were just so many things that I can see what they were trying to do and they just execute it really poorly, which is unfortunate because I don't think, again, if you didn't see the anime and you watched this and you didn't hate it, like I can forgive that. Like I get that. There were a lot of good basis in facts. Like I like the birthday scene. I liked where they went bowling. Things that sort of established them as a crew, that they were friends. But then there were other things like, again, Faye's whole story just rushed as hell. How you had to divide your time between the Bebop crew and Vicious and the Syndicate, and Vicious and Julie and the Syndicate, whereas the show is mostly just the Bebop crew, so they could actually focus on those bounties and just have these self-contained stories. And yeah, it was something that had lofty ambitions, but they didn't have the ability to make those ambitions happen. And they made a lot of changes, which I don't think worked, and in some ways pissed me off. And it made it a shallow and imitation of what Cowboy Bebop is supposed to be. in my eyes. So that's why I give it 4 out of 10. But again, as a fan and someone who loves the actual anime, like I'd probably give this a 1 just because it made me that mad. But again, I'm trying to give you the most impartial view of this show that I can. And again, it has its high notes and it does have things that you can like. And I understand people who will at least give it a 6 and say it's above average. For me, this is below average. It was a 4. I just think bad writing and the change. Again, it's just once you've seen the anime, like, it's impossible to fully disassociate yourself. So yeah, solid 4. Those are my thoughts over the Cowboy Bebop live action from Netflix. So I hope you enjoy, and I will catch you guys on the next one. We'll see what it is and go from there. Hopefully, it's better than this was. All right. Well, you guys have a good one. See you later.